I wish that people would just be like, maybe you don't have to have a problem. Like maybe you go to the dentist to get your teeth cleaned because you want to keep them healthy. So why wouldn't you go to therapy just to keep yourself healthy, because they're going to see something that you don't. If you wait until there's an issue, there's a lot more to clean up versus just like, how's everything going? Let's recalibrate the tires. And they can see things that you can't see because we all have blind spots.
Thank you so much, Annie, for coming on to the show today. I'm really excited to have a conversation with you. I've been watching your business unfold ever since Spruce and Bon Lemon were in the same little location with each other. And then you like blew out a wall. You took over the whole section of that area and that shopping center and created a business that I think is not only so needed in our neighborhood, in our area, but also just it shows what a woman can do if she's just takes the opportunities. Not even given the opportunity, but I feel like you've made your own opportunities.
It just is, like I don't feel like I was given any or took any or anything. It's just like you just keep going, and if you have a drive to keep moving the goalposts, which a certain subset of the people like me do, it's never enough, but like you're always like, what's the next thing, and so you're always striving to be better, I guess. So it just naturally happens.
Yeah. So tell everybody a little bit about how you started your business.
Yeah. So I call myself the reluctant business owner because I did my undergrad in econ, and then I was going to go on to grad school because that's what you do. If you get a liberal arts degree, you're like, let's go on and, get your PhD. So I was doing some schooling, like extra classes to get ready for that. And then I realized I didn't want to be an academic and like in that world because I'm like, I don't want to be around a bunch of econ dorks the rest of my life. Now I wish I had in some ways because I miss learning in that type of learning. So then I thought about it. I'm like, well, what do I like to do? I love helping women. I like science. I like, like connection. And I was like, that kind of sounds like an esthetician. And so I just went to skincare school, which was a flip in my brain because I was always kind of like more on the academic side. And then I was going to beauty school. I'm using air quotes because obviously that's how you pigeonhole yourself into things. And then I loved it. And then I said I wasn't going to work. My final project in school was like how to not work for yourself and still control your income. It was like how to navigate that and like the different levers you can pull to increase your income. So I was like, I'm not going to work for myself. And then no one was hiring that I wanted to work for. So I rented a room with a couple of other really nice people. And I was like, but I'll never have my own place. And then 2.5, 3 years later, I got a place with a good friend who was a massage therapist. And I was like, so then we were sharing and I was like, but I'll never have employees. And then I got pregnant and then I was like, oh, okay. So I got my first employee. I was like, but that's it. and I was like, but I'll never have my own place. And then moved into the bigger place with Bon Lemon and the massage therapist. And the massage therapist moved out. She just wanted more space. And then Bon Lemon, and then ultimately took over Bon Lemon and just kept gathering employees. And one of the big ones was I was never going to have a second location. And then obviously that happened too a couple of years ago. I got a little crazy. So now I just never say never. So I have two locations and about 20 women, and just kind of naturally, organically grew.
That's awesome. And you've also started your own line of products as well.
Yeah. I mean, I was having trouble for a while finding product lines that had what I wanted. So I just was able to formulate a couple products that filled in some of the holes. And I mean, I'm not trying to take over the skincare world. I'm just trying to serve the clients with what I need them to put on their face.
That's awesome.
But that's an experience too, because there's all the little things that go with it, with packaging and components and where you have it manufactured and then it's an interesting world. I've learned a lot. Every step, I learned a lot of expensive lessons.
I love those expensive lessons. And I think, how has it been networking with other women, entrepreneurs in the area? Because we live in a small-ish town. Like it's not Seattle, but it's not country. But it does, I feel like we are kind of kept in a little bubble.
Totally.
How have you found like networking either in Olympia or even pushing out?
Well, I think one of the things that's really been huge for my company is just me trying to be connected to the community. Like the connection is what drives me. Like I love it. Like I was always into sports growing up. So I love that girl tribe kind of thing. And I think I've just kind of created my own with my team at Spruce. But then as far as the entrepreneurial side, I always just enjoy talking to other business owners. It's not like I have nothing against it, people who don't eat what they kill, but it takes a certain brain to because we never turn it off, and so you have to have someone who understands that. I think that as as a woman, I didn't really ever see myself as a girl boss or a female business owner. I'm just a business owner. But I mean, being a female, and especially having kids now and being a single mom, that comes with its own responsibilities that aren't always equally present in a male relationship. So I have a lot of male business owner friends and also, but as I'm growing and kind of going towards middle age, I was in a wonderful group out of LA that was all female CEOs, and they were like some crazy, amazing, inspiring women, but it was very healing and wonderful to try to connect on a level where, like, when you have those issues, that it's not like just a small business thing with 1 or 2 employees, but you've got a team and you've got responsibilities and, these big bills coming in and all that goes with it, along with trying to navigate dating and, perimenopause, or what's the best, I don't know, hair removal, or, all those things that, like, we talk about as women, but then you're a woman and a business owner. And so it's a little different niche. It's a niche.
Yeah, for sure. For my May episodes, I was doing things about mental health, and I was researching for my last episode that I'm doing about mental load and how women, 72% of the household mental load is carried by women. That is even in dual parent households. Yeah. So it's regardless of whether or not you have a significant other or another parent in the home, it's still all on us. And then when you're a single mom, it's even magnified.
It's one thing that's interesting is I think becoming a single mom, I'm now more likely to ask for help and get help. And there's a little bit more of a distribution in certain ways because you don't always have the kids. So, I think getting divorced has been really good for me as a parent in that sense. We don't have, we got rid of the nannies because we just trade off. And I think it's interesting that I think co-parenting exists in 2-parent households and split parent households, and it's not, there's a lot of issues, and we think that the grass is greener sometimes, but there's a happy surprise that comes with having to ask for help because you physically can't be in 2 places at once. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. It's like if you can have that person like that, you're like, oh, well, I just can't do it because I don't have a husband, so I better ask my mom or my friend or something like that. It's, I don't know, like, it's just like, it's freeing in some ways.
Well, I can see that because I think it's been ingrained in us as women, especially our generation, to not ask for help.
Yes.
We were taught you can do it all, you can be it all. Yes. Don't ask for help. And they never taught our counterparts that we were going to start to do it all and that we needed help.
Oh, yeah. I mean, women entering the workforce, I mean, obviously, I look at what I do for a living, right? But it didn't take anything off the plate. We're still responsible for the laundry and buying the groceries and cooking the dinner and bringing home the money, So there's some rebalancing and recalibrating that could happen there for sure.
Yeah. So what are you doing to take care of yourself? Because...
Well, that's been something, huge. I've done a lot of growth in that in the last few years because it's never been something that I've done well, but now I do it as part of, it's not even like a question. Like I get massages, I do Reiki, I go on trips, I travel by myself, I travel with my kids. I put those things as high priorities, and I go on a lot of walks in the woods, and it's not, I used to think of it as like selfish, like taking time, but it is 100% not. If I don't do that, I'm a crazy person, and I have to do that to get like my deep thinking done for work. So like I'll go for a walk and come back and have the answer. So it seems like I'm leaving work, but I'm actually going on and like checking out to go do it. So the self-care is still work related, but it like allows me to balance out my nervous system, I think.
Yeah, well, because you're taking your mental briefcase with you. It's not like you just punched out and you walked away. I mean,
it just allows a little bit of the distraction and then going, so like I just got a sauna and I'm obsessed with it, and cold plunge and workouts. I mean, exercise, all those things that they tell me to do. I'm like, give me all the endorphins. I like want to give me all, like I'll do anything for some dopamine, but like I've learned to do healthier things.
Yeah, I know. The older we get, the less healthy things hit harder on the back end.
Oh, yeah.
If I have a glass of wine, really ever, but if it's after 3:00, it's like totally not even worth it.
It's just not fair.
No, it's not. It's not fair. And it increases the brain fog and it screws with your sleep, which you're already having a terrible time with. And so,
Oh, totally. I forget so much, like sober. If I'm drinking, I'm like, sorry. And it's not like, I'm not like blacking out. I just forget. Like, it's just, yeah.
No, I think remembering self-care is really important. And I think that I've seen all those images on Instagram, like, as a mom, you're supposed to put your oxygen mask on first. And I would just kind of balk at it, like, right, okay, like dinner is burning, my kid needs a diaper change, the dog is getting into something toxic. I don't have time for self-care. But I do think that the older we get and the more independent our kids get, we can also make a little bit of time.
Well, and I think that's the gift of being in the middle age area. You don't have the like literally physically children on you, and so you can step away and go for a walk. There were times where I couldn't go for a walk without my kids, it wasn't an option. So you go in the shower and close the door. But I think that it's definitely something that makes you a better person and a better parent also. And I think this was an Oprah thing or something like a long time ago, but where they said it like hit me really hard. It was like, what are you trying to teach your kids? You're trying to teach them how to be whole, complete people and, all these things. Well, what are you modeling? If you're modeling a mom that just lives selflessly for the kids and the family and never is a woman and a person and has her own health and everything, like that's not what I want for my daughter. I don't want her to not work out because she doesn't see me work out. I want her to see me being healthy so she learns how to be healthy.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think for my kids, I've always, I did all the dieting things, like the eating out of colored boxes and the counting calories and the doing excessive cardio and shrinking down into nothing.
Yep.
And I remember Maddie being like 8, asking me if she should have her food out of colored boxes. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
no, this needs to stop. We just need to be strong and healthy and break the cycle of disordered eating and trying to be small. Yeah. And I think, I don't need to get all damn the patriarchy about it, but there is something to be said about why are we being kept small? Really? Right. Who are we being kept small for? Yep. Is it judgmental other women? Is it for the male attention, or is it because we're really capable of doing amazing things if we're given the space to be big?
Right. And I think like I'm happy about that pendulum swing right now where, as much as I gag a little bit with the girl power and like girl boss things, I think there is a spotlight put on the emphasis of what we can achieve and like showing that, you can do things, you can ask for help. And I think that it's important. And I think that being small is something that we are unintentionally taught by society and like everything, like like from day one. And so learning how to not be small and learning how to speak what your needs are. Oh my God, ask for what you need or state what you need. And like, it's hard to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My brother was born in 1989. So he's a whole other generation. We don't really talk, we text, just all the things are different. And he has a 2.5-year-old. He'll be 3 in July. And I'm watching them. They both, he works now he's going to have a different job, but they work remotely, hybrid kind of. He goes in and out. She's all remote. And my mom watches the kiddo for them. But I've seen them navigate managing the kid. And it's not like he's not watching his child. It's just his time to man up and take care of the kid, or like he does the dishes or they both do their own laundry. And I'm watching, and initially, like, I've never verbalized this to my sister-in-law, but initially I was like, I can't believe her. Like, I can't believe that he's doing all of this. And now that I've seen that it's healthy and I want that for my daughters when they get older. So actually, that's really not a bad thing. That's healthy boundaries around their mental space and their personal time and like co-owning having a house and kids.
I think that the distribution of duties is something that is so important to talk about in a partnership that like kind of gets glossed over because either you take the traditional, like route but then you're not, if you're working, it's not the traditional, like super traditional housewife route, or you take the route, but like the man's not respecting it or something like that. But like, I see really healthy partnerships where the wife is she runs the house and he respects the hell out of it, and I'm like, and that is an equality, just because he's the one working and she's the one managing the house isn't like an inequality. They see each other as equals, and they're what they bring to the table. And if he's home early, she's like, why are you here? This is my space. What do you do? But, and then I see the opposite too, where like you see that resentment start setting in, and then you can watch it happen. And then, ultimately you often see them get divorced. But when that bitterness of not feeling seen is really what it is, when the partner doesn't feel seen, heard, and valued, it's sad.
Yeah. The lack of being seen from the stay-home parent and the resentment of providing the life for you to stay home turns into this really brutal situation. And I definitely think that having conversations for the young people who are never going to listen to this because it's about midlife, but I would say having those conversations and communicating early on before a relationship is even hard formed, before you hard launch or whatever they say these days, just to discuss, this is an expectation from me of what a partnership looks like.
Yeah, it's like core values. And sometimes you don't even know your core values though until you get older. That's it. That's the joy of being older. Also, the joy of being middle-aged is you're like, oh, yeah, that wouldn't work for me. My 23-year-old self wouldn't work for me now. And I think I wish that I had known what I stood for. Well, I don't know, you evolve. I'm not the same person I was then, but I wish that I could go back and tell them, just think about it. What do you want? Do you like doing the dishes? I mean, I hate doing laundry, so I don't do it. And, like I hated it every week, so I just don't do it. Like it's okay. It's okay to get help.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. When I was younger and just getting out of pharmacy school, I was working every other weekend and I would have one day off a week. So Tuesdays were my day off and then every other weekend I had off. And it felt like every Tuesday, that was the day that all the laundry got done, all the home cooking got done, the house cleaning got done, the vet appointments got done. And I kind of laid the groundwork that even though I was working full time and actually providing the income for the house, I still was expected to do all of the female domestic, air quote, duties on my day off. And so when that flipped and I stayed home, not only was it an expectation, but then there was the expectation that had already existed, but the lack of my own income.
Right. It's hard on your mental. It's very hard on the mental status because you're like, where do I fit in here now? Yeah. I think that's where some of those conversations I think can really help because everyone has these things like society says you have to you can't have a house cleaner or whatever. So many people should just get a house cleaner. Just get a house cleaner. It'll solve 80% of your problems in your marriage. It's not that much money. It's cheaper than therapy. Just get someone to come clean your house. It's okay. But we've been taught that we got to do it ourselves. And it's lazy because if you have a core value of not being lazy, and core value of being industrious, then you can handle it. I mean, you can work 6 days a week and do all that stuff, right? You can, but should you? No, because your mental health suffers, right?
Yeah. And I don't think we weren't taught about mental health.
No. Well, and I think it's a little too much of a buzzword in some ways now, but I think the emphasis on just being aware of it, I think is so much healthier than just push it down, push it down, push it down.
Oh yeah. I mean, the pendulum is fun. I think it does it has to swing and hit the wall before it comes back a little bit. And there's still people that I know that are so stuck on the previous talking about mental health is for deranged people or for the lazy people who don't want to work or, just the excuse making for reasons why people talk about their mental health. Yeah. And it's these conversations are enlightening for people and they're being vulnerable and opening up about themselves and their experience. It's okay. And maybe this is your inner child screaming that you need to talk about your mental health.
Totally. And you don't know until you're there either. I never was into it at all. I never went to therapy or anything. And it wasn't until I started, working through my divorce and stuff that I went to a lot. But my sister will tell you, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I would have never gone if I wasn't having a problem. I wish that people would just be maybe you don't have to have a problem. Maybe you go to the dentist to get your teeth cleaned because you want to keep them healthy. So why wouldn't you go to therapy just to keep yourself healthy because they're going to see something that you don't. And I say that all, and I don't have a therapist right now, but I do think it's, you don't go, if you wait until there's an issue, there's a lot more to clean up versus just how's everything going? Let's recalibrate the tires. And they can see things that you can't see because we all have blind spots.
Yeah. It's an oil change.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they sell you on needing a new air filter.
And you're like, yeah, ayahuasca trip sounds great. No, what can you do for me? What retreat can I go on next?
Exactly.
Sign me up.
Oh, I am looking for, I'm thinking about a silent retreat.
Oh,
But then I don't know. Do I want to just sit in my head? I don't know if that's the best place to be right now. Maybe I don't.
no.
Maybe I need a scream in the woods retreat.
I think I went to a spa retreat for 4 days once, but I was by myself. So you talk a little bit, but you're a lot of silence, like when you're by yourself for that long. And I mean, I think it's great. I think being by yourself is great. I went to a 3-day festival by myself last year, which is a little much, but it's fun to go.
Yeah, I'm going to start out with eating by myself.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm ready. Because my thing is, I don't know about you, but right now I'm in the headspace where when it's quiet, it's when I start to think about all the things that are on the horizon or things that I'm going to need to start putting together or, I've got all these notes of different titles of things. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that. And I have to write that down. And so I just think that silence may not be the place for me right now.
Well, and my best friend's married, and she's like, you go out to eat. She always has someone to go out to eat with. So when you're married, you have someone to go out to eat with. But so it's a little bit more of a opportunity zone or not. but I think it's like a forced opportunity that I've had to get good at. But I think it's something that married and not married women should do because you just don't have to talk to someone. I watch people sitting and eating and not talking to each other and looking at their phones. And I'm like, I'm just going to be happy paying for one.
Yeah, no, seriously. The phone thing kills me. I have been for years now. The phones have to be off the table. Like my kids too. It's like, there's nothing that needs to happen on a phone in front of me right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so to be sitting there on a date or whatever with a significant other and you're both on your phones.
It's weird.
I'd rather sit by myself.
Try it. It's fun. I love it.
Except the thing is that right now we're in a small town and I feel like I go out and if I'm sitting alone, I'm going to run into somebody.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's times where I won't go out because, but sometimes it's nice, but I have my places that I go. Yeah, I have my places that I go and my places that I don't go unless I want to see a lot of people and be very social. So you just find your places and stuff.
I need to start making my notes of where I should go and what I should. Yeah. But I mean, you and I were talking before we started recording that you went to eat and you saw somebody and you had to just reroute because it was
Sometimes I've run into an ex-boyfriend at the bar before and I'm like, oh, that's not awkward, or whatever. I've run into people I don't want to see or the woman I don't want to see or whatever, all these things. And you just, I think it's good though, because it's like weightlifting. You do it and it gets easier, I guess. But that's why I have my certain places like Chelsea Farms Bar. It's my favorite because it's kind of set back there and you're kind of by yourself. But then there's other more open places and restaurants and bars that are you can't help but see everyone that walks in. And I don't like that as much.
I also like the multiple points of entry and exit.
Yeah.
I don't have to go past somebody if I don't want to. That's always a nice thing too. So I haven't really had a conversation on the podcast with divorced women in midlife.
Yeah.
And you talk about how you're dating and that's been an experience. Yeah. So
you want to talk about it?
Yes. So what I'm gonna out myself that my husband and I are separated. So this is the first podcast episode I've talked about not being married, not being a Mrs. Doctor. So I'm interested. I mean, I am nowhere in any way, shape, or form thinking about that in any near future. But I'm interested in knowing because, like I said, you're the first person I've had on the podcast that I've talked to somebody about a relationship or life or anything in general that has come out of a divorce at our age. So what's it like out there?
Let me tell you. So I am about 7 years of a sole proprietor at home now. So it's been, and it goes fast and slow, and it's definitely a process. And I feel like I'm in a really healthy place with that part of my life now. So, but there's so much that, it's not, I think it's fun and it's not. It's fun and it's not fun. I think the thing about dating, so I'm 43 and that's a weird age. It was a little easier when I was in my late 30s, except I already had my kids. So it's actually not, because 43-year-old men, might have their own kids, or maybe they don't, and they think they still want kids, and I'm like, oh, shop's closed, I'm good.
Yeah.
And then you're like kind of like doing that dance a little bit. So like you're still in like, they are still in the like potential procreation range. So that's like a thing. And then you've got like other people with kids or not kids. So then that's a whole thing to sprinkle in there. So then if you go older, then you're like, okay, so then we're going older, and then how old are their kids? And, like everybody comes with a story, which, I mean, everybody always did. There's just more stories when you're middle-aged because you've just been older. And, and I think it's challenging for sure, because I honestly can't quite figure it out. And I think about it like where I'm like, oh, I know I have to be with someone older. I'm like established. I have like a business and kids, and like the only people that are going to understand me are the people who are going to be older. And that might be true, but maybe it's not too. And so there's like a constant rewriting of the script a little bit. I don't know, younger's fun too.
Well, I worry that the older gentlemen are of either our generation or generations before us who don't believe in therapy and haven't fixed their stuff. And then,
it's a thing. I mean, like, so you kind of like, the hardest part for me as a overthinker, and like literally my title is CEO, my job is to look at the vision of things and plan out the next 17 steps, right? That's my job. So like when I'm thinking about a relationship, it's really hard to go on a first date without being like, who are his friends? What's his income? I wonder what his 401k, where does he live? What are his kids? What's his relationship with his ex? And has he done therapy? Are his parents still married? Like all those things, you can't help but thinking about it. And it makes it hard to relax. I'm not going to lie.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's really hard. Yeah. But I think also one of the things that I'm literally learning right now, and at this moment and stage in my, like right now, is like, maybe you can just date someone. I don't know, like maybe you can just not worry about getting married and not worry about long-term partnership and just be a person. And I think we're trained, or I was, to like meet someone and get married. And then when you get out of a marriage, that's one thing that I've noticed a lot, depending on how long the guy that I'm dating has been out of a marriage. Like people have been used to being in a committed relationship. So they're more apt sometimes to want that immediate feeling because that's what they're comfortable with. But that's not, you can't jump in on level 8, So there's a lot and it's nobody's fault. Like I think you just like instantly jump into comfort, and sometimes that's physical and sometimes that's like mental and sometimes that's like love bombing or something like that. And like, you're like, well, actually have to grow from like a seed, with every relationship. And that's one thing that I'm trying to be more aware of, and like just trying to enjoy like having someone who's fun to be around and not plan out the next 17 steps without, setting up a lot of things for hurt. I think then there's all the aspects that come in, because like when we're 20 years old, you're not worried about the retirement plan.
Yeah. Oh no. Or even just like your person getting sick and having to take care of them, or you getting sick and are they going to be somebody who's willing to take care of you if you're not capable of doing all the things that you do when you meet and those kind of things? Totally.
Like I was thinking about this the other day, because you haven't done this, but like when you go on a dating app, which stories on stories with that, but like everybody like goes on them and then you swear off for life and then you're back on. But anyways, you set your age range, right? And my age range is never younger. And then I'm like, because I don't know if I have the self-esteem. I have it now, but in 5 years, like if I'm dating someone younger, I want to be the hot young thing. And I don't want to, like it takes a lot of, I'm going to need smart counseling to continue to work on my self-esteem, because I don't know, like, that's kind of scary. Growing old is hard enough and all that comes with that. And it's hard to think about that too. You know what I mean? Like that insecurity, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Well, like Robert De Niro can have a baby, and men, it never ceases to amaze me. And now I find it a red flag, but the men who quote Matthew McConaughey from Dazed and Confused, you know what I love about high school girls? The older I get, they stay the same age. Those men are now men in their 50s who we should all run from. But
they want something easy.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing that you have to navigate is, what are they looking for? Are they looking for that easy thing? Like their ego stroked because they haven't done the work? Because I find that the more emotional work that they've done and the more mental health, like therapy or whatever, it doesn't have to be therapy, but just like awareness, that they don't need that instant dopamine hit that comes with a cute young thing telling you you're handsome and that she likes your car. That's not going to pay the bills when you're like have food poisoning, mutual respect and, like ability to communicate. Whoa. Like communication. I never knew what the word vulnerability meant until I had to go through my divorce and understand what like feeling really exposed feels like. But like, I crave vulnerability and authenticity now so much. And if you don't have it, I'm just like, I don't care how hot you are. It's like not a turn on. Like,
well, then history's going to I would just see history repeating itself.
Right.
Like, oh, wait, here I am.
Right.
Which means I didn't do the work.
Yep.
If that's what I'm willing to tolerate again. So I think so one of the things I want to ask you is, how long did you give yourself? Was there like, I want nothing to do with another person for 12 months? Or did you say a minimum, or I need to feel like I've done all the work and healed myself, or what?
No, because I think like having new relationships is part of the work. I think for me, because you have to, I think experiencing that's not the end of my love story. My ex-husband is not the end of my love story. That's part of it. And I get to test out some other things and everything. And I don't enter into things like, oh, I'm going to test this out. As hard shell as I am, I'm a romantic, and I believe in it. I believe in love, and I believe in long-term marriage and stuff like that. So I think immediately, I was pretty for a while, but then I think I was about 9 months or so before I started like dipping my toe in the apps. And it's so scary. You overthink every single text and every single message. And, everyone will tell you like, don't overthink it. And you're like, but what does this mean? And you know what it means? It means he's texted 100 other girls the same thing. So don't worry about it. It's like not that big of a deal. Like none of it is a big deal. So then I did that a little bit. And then I was like, I had some really, oh God, just really amazingly awful like stories there. So then I swore off of it, and then I tried it again. And then I did this thing where I'm like, I'm going to volume date. I'm going to like just go as many dates as I can. And I think I probably went on 6 or something like in a month, which is a lot for me.
Yeah.
And then, it gives you like, I think it's kind of interesting though, because it's like wine tasting. You're like, do I like this one or this one or this one or this one? And I don't like any of them. Okay. But then you're like, start to decipher. So I think it was about 9 months before I started dipping my toe into that. I also gave myself like a year to just not worry. And then I started focusing on my health and fitness and, like all that. Like I was like, are my kids okay? That was my only focus. And like, then I started working on am I okay? And then doing that work. And then, yeah, I think like just those on and off things of I'm done with apps forever and then trying it. And it's not all on the apps. That just happens to be a common thing. I mean, the most recent guy I met was not on app. It was just when you're not looking and then you're like, oh, you're cute. What? Oh my God. And that's the best. I mean, honestly, but I think dating gives me like the confidence to be like, I know what I don't want. And I know what I do want. And it's like your list of what you don't want doesn't just come from your ex. It's no, I need someone who's going to communicate with me. I need someone who's going to be vulnerable with me and has a desire to grow, and then you start like putting those things together because you become the 5 people that you hang out with the most. Yep. Right. Yeah. And if that's not who you want to be, it's like Eeyore, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So how is it with the kids? Because you have a daughter that's in 8th grade and you have a son that's younger.
Yep. I'm going to navigate this one a little bit because.
But what I mean is so not necessarily dating and the kids. I'm on a different rabbit trail now. I'm thinking about you're a single mom.
Yep.
And you're navigating 2 kiddos.
Yep.
And all that they need, and you're co-parenting and running a business, but you're also like starting to feel the hormonal shifts of this stage of life too. So like you have kid hormones and your hormones in the same house and you're juggling all the things. How is it working for you right now or not working?
I mean, I honestly am really proud of the way that I've navigated or that it's gone with my kids. They're really healthy and they're so much more emotionally intelligent than I am. And I'm just like, thank God, I never would cry like when I was like most of my adult life. And then at a certain point I was crying, and my kids run towards me, not away from me. And, you know, like even now, like they're very emotionally aware but not they're not scared of emotions. So when it comes to them, like I think I've been a little bit hyper vigilant about being there 100% for them. Like I could have been more my own person the last 6 years, you know, but I was like, you know, because I was like, I'm here for them. I don't get babysitters. Now I'm like, as they've gotten a little older, I mean, when they're younger, it's different, but as they've gotten a little older, I will go out to dinner with a girlfriend or something, you know, while they're home. And it's not like I'm abandoning them. I just felt this like burning desire to be there for them all the time, to make sure they're okay when they were younger, because I was so scared. I think when we were young, parents would get divorced. And it was like the kiss of death. Well, their kids are screwed. I don't know. It was like there's a stigma. Do you know what I mean? There was a stigma.
Oh, yeah. The kids are going to lead a life of crime and being a stripper and doing drugs. And yeah,
totally. Well, their kids are screwed. Yeah, totally. And so we have that stigma inside of us so to then be a person who believes in marriage and believes in marriage forever, and then have to go through a divorce, it broke my brain of what I think a family is. And so I had to, you know, like re-stitch that together, I guess, a little bit. And like, I had a really amazing conversation with my daughter the other day. And I think they're growing up with a totally different skill set, and divorce has made her life richer in some ways because she gets the total attention she gets a different type of attention and focus. And there's not that noise that comes with also having to navigate the parents' relationship. And they have their dad has a partner, and like that, you know, so they're around partners, and they're around my sister's married to a great guy. My parents are married, you know, they're around a lot of healthy relationships, and they're around me that's single. So I think they get a lot of good influences of what healthy relationships are. And that's really what we want, right? Is to like model healthy behavior for them. And if you can't model it with your partner, at least they're still seeing it like with someone else. I think it's really hard for me to want to bring someone into my kid's life as my partner. And I wish that I'm working on that, but like, I also don't really care. It's still a priority to like, just live this portion of my life as a mom. And that's my top priority. And if someone is so amazing that they enrich our lives with their presence, then that's awesome. It's just like, I'm not missing anything. We have a pretty rad life.
Yeah. Well, and my daughters are, you know, Abby will be 14 in June and Maddie just turned 16. So she's already, you know, she can get in a car and drive herself somewhere. And so I was already preparing, you know, before February and when the separation happened, like I was already mentally preparing, okay, in April, she's going to have a license. She's going to drive herself to school. So all my windshield time in the morning and after school is going to be gone. And she's 2 years away from college. Like she's doing an internship in New York for 2 weeks this summer. She's going to the New York Times for 2 weeks. I'm so excited for her. And like she's finding her own things, and she's got her own people. And then Abby's going to be going to high school with her next year. And she just made cheer. So she'll start doing that at school. And so they're already going to be they're in that process of separating from me more and more and becoming more independent. So I've already had to deal with giving myself some things to do and more space. And that's part of the reason why I started the podcast and started really focusing on women's health and being an advocate for that, because it gave me a purpose outside of just being mom.
Yep.
So I'm glad I have it as something to do. But on the other hand, like I have kind of initially when the whole, like, since it's only been 2 months. So like I've literally put my whole life down in the beginning. And what do I need to do to survive, like for my kids to survive and for me to survive every single day? And now that I even just feel there's a lightness in the house in the last couple months. There's more laughter that's coming. There's more of them connecting. Like they would fight all the time. And there was just so much bickering, and they still disagree. I mean, there's squabbles of living with people, but they have connected in a way that I didn't anticipate. And so seeing that kind of being fostered is really awesome. Like last night, Maddie and I found out that Abby made cheer while she was at dance, and Maddie wanted to get in the car and go with me and sit at the dance studio and wait for her so that we could celebrate her together. So I just think that in the busyness of all the daily stuff, we kind of lost sight of what was really important.
Yeah.
And it felt like I felt like I'm standing on quicksand. And I do still have days where I feel like I'm standing on quicksand. But for the most part, I feel like we've got some solid footing right now. And it feels good to just be in that. And so it actually feels better.
It does. I completely understand. And I'm glad that you're already there, because it is better, because when there's not that, I don't know, the rhythm that you fall into with your kids is like is precious. And that's like my kids and I, we sit in our chairs at the dinner table, we eat dinner, every night that we can, which is almost every night, because we prioritize it. Now they've got a little bit more activities. And then we go upstairs and we watch sitcoms. We watched all The Office. We watched all the, like Parks and Rec and stuff. And we just watch it all the way through. And that's what we do at night. And I had to give myself permission a few years ago to be like, my kids are going to be fine. I'm not reading to them. This is our thing we do. We snuggle in my bed and we watch sitcoms and then they go to bed. And that's our thing. And we travel and we have these like things. And so like this codependency, like it's just like these rituals that you do together. And so like you guys going to, celebrate with her for making sheer is going to be a core memory, she's not going to forget that. And so it's that kind of stuff is like precious. And like, it would have gotten muddled if someone was missing from the picture that should have been in the car for whatever reason and they weren't, but you guys were able to make that decision and be like, let's go, and I mean, it's so cool.
Yeah.
My kids, so I made a decision about 3 years ago. I'm like, when I was looking at the dating scene and I was like, I don't know that I'm going to meet someone, but I'm just going to work really hard and travel. And I'm going to travel with my kids and have big memories. So we travel quite a lot and extensively. And we all love to travel because it's that intimate time together. We don't even we just walk around, we eat, we go shopping, and we're not like, go, because we know there's another trip, and like it's our time together and core memories. And it's really high value for me.
So if we were going to end the conversation with words of advice for women who are terrified of the idea of owning their own business, are terrified of starting, like we're going.
I know, back to the business. I know. I feel like we've been talking about a lot of deep stuff, but yeah. Okay. Business. Yeah.
This is what happens in a conversation with me. Especially when there's no outline. Sorry. We're just going to go over here.
I like it though, because it's real talk. We're not just doing coffee talk. I can't handle coffee talk. This is great.
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
So if you're, because there's a lot of women who are thinking like, I need to work. So now I am coming up to the point where the rest of my life isn't figured out. What do if I want to start a business, or if I want to work, or there's other people who are thinking of owning their own business, or they're afraid of taking big risks. Like, how did you navigate that?
I didn't think about it at all.
Oh, God.
No, I mean, I didn't.
I'm screwed.
No, okay. So I think I'm a planner, and no, I mean, I did think about it. I mean, I did, but it was the most logical. I'm a very logical person, and I'm like, seems like the best choice. Seems like the best choice. I did the math. It works, So like a little bit like Rain Man, like literally like the math works. I'm going to do it. The gut, says it's true. But I think like when it comes to those big risks, the more you do them, the easier they get. They're not all big risks. What you realize is it's literally, I mean, this sounds like a buzzword that's going to be on some, reel or something, but like at a certain point, or maybe it's all the time, it's 90% mental. And it really, really is. I mean, the hard thing about running a business is just being able to shoulder the responsibility of knowing that it's you. And at the end of the day, 20 women depend on me for their mortgages and their car payments and their food. And that's a heavy and valuable burden that I carry with quite a lot of joy and pride, but also I feel very, responsible for it. So that's with having employees. And as far as like just being self-employed, what's the worst that could happen? You don't do it anymore. There's no downside to any of it unless you're making irrational choices. So, I mean, if it's a rational choice, you're not like taking out $100,000 loan to go make, I don't know, dog collars or I don't know. I mean, if that's going to work for you, then that's great. Dog collars are great. But if you've done the math and it works, then go for it. But don't make stupid decisions and seek out advice. That's huge. And as our generation, especially, we weren't always taught to ask for help, right? But everyone's willing to help you. Everyone. Like, the only people that aren't are people who live in scarcity. Anyone who's living in abundance or who has had some success or had someone help them in their life will talk to you in all. Like, if somebody asks me for help, I'm like, yeah, what do you want to know? Just ask the question. I don't know what you want to know. Like how you're saying no one wants to hear us talk for, like I can talk for like a long time on a lot of stuff, but I don't think that everyone wants to hear me. But I had someone reach out to ask about having employees the other day. And I was like, yeah, what do you want to know? And I gave her like really direct information, because what good does it do me? She's in my industry, owns a similar thing, and I like her. And I'm like, what good does it gatekeeping do? Like, I think that there is this thing going on right now where people like charge a lot for courses, and they like, they're doing coaching and courses, and there's nothing against any of that. But I think there's also, which I feel is great if you want a transactional thing. Like, I go to my accountant and ask them my list of questions, and I'm happy to pay my money. And, like, it's valuable for me to do that. So they're like my accounting coach in that sense, but like, people will have a casual conversation, and proximity, I guess, is another thing. So, asking the questions, I ask people all the time who are in different industries, but I have to get in the room to ask the question. So like, some of my friends own, medical offices, or they own, our friends who own the, like the distributors or something like that, and like transportation, logistics. I love all of it. I'm like, oh, how does your banking industry work? Oh, interesting. Really? Oh, that's so corporate, or something like that, but like, I'm learning, and I just really get excited about learning about business. So then I ask questions, but I think a lot of it is proximity. So if you don't have access, finding access, and you can find that through networking groups or through friends or through like the Small Business Association has like a women's section, where like you can go, and it's like specifically designed for like women. And I don't know what the difference is, but I think more it's the designated for women. It's not, we are all people, but so they have programs like that. But I think if someone's like thinking about doing a business, like, just do it, but ask for help. Don't try to pretend like you know how to do QuickBooks if you don't. It's not like, it's okay. Like, I don't really want to know how the algorithm on Instagram works. I want to hire someone and and then they can figure it out. And so we have like I have my marketing manager, and then we also have a virtual assistant who specializes in like this stuff. And I don't want to know how Google ads work. I really don't, but I do want to know how effective they are and like what I need to do to maximize my return. And I think that's, like I read like crazy, and like audiobooks mostly because I'm driving. Yeah. And like moms have a, superpower of doing mom laps every night as you drive the kids around. Oh, yeah. So you can burn through a lot of books and podcasts, and you learn so much. So like the book Who Not How is huge for me. That one was a big unlock. And then 10X is easier than 2X is another huge unlock. The book Traction, that changed my life, like with like how I approached my business, because I never approached my business as a business owner. I was an esthetician who worked for myself. I didn't approach it as a business owner until very recently, like in the last, I'm talking like 3 or 4 years, where I'm like, okay, I have a responsibility to all these women who work for me to run it as what it is, which is, it's a 7-figure, multi-7-figure business. And I need to like have a responsibility to run it as such, because I didn't go to business school. I didn't get my MBA, which is fine. Some days I am in a room with everyone who has an MBA and I'm like, all right, but I'm in the room.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things women discredit for themselves is you feel like you need to have all these extra capital letters after your name. And that's not necessarily the case.
No.
And I also think that we forget, I was talking to somebody about building a CV, and my thing is there's a huge gap. There's 13 years where I wasn't employed. I didn't have, but I have created all these skills and all of these life experiences that have given me time management skills and, all the things that you think about that you are required to exist in the, in a home or in a life, but also, the things that I've been doing, managing Flowdesk, I hate Canva, working on Canva, Squarespace website, like all those little things that women, the tinkering of doing things for homeroom as a PTA mom, like there's all these things that you've done party planning for your kids. Back when our kids were little, like the Pinterest parties were the thing. And so you had to have all the things done. And so we forget that we were acquiring skills even if we weren't technically working.
Totally. Like, I respect my bestie so much. I worship her. She has a beautiful home. She cuts out the little letters out of cookies and leaves them out and has the most beautiful parties for her kids. I forget to buy paper plates until I'm on the way home. We all have a skill set. Mine is not that. And so like a stay-at-home mom skill set is so valuable when it comes to think about event planning or just like organizational skills in a workplace, in a corporate work environment. You're already used to managing children. You can manage
conflict management.
Yeah, totally. But like, I don't have that skill set. And I think like I think that people discredit themselves so much and over again. So I was in this CEO group down in LA, and I am the tiny fish in the big pond. We're talking like $50 million businesses, all women, like big, like all ranges, but I was definitely the itty bitty. And when it really came, what I realized is everybody's got their thing. Everybody had an insecurity. And some of them are the same. Like literally I saw this one who was a top in her field, whatever. And she's, oh God, I don't even know why they wanted me in this group. I don't know what I bring to the table. And I was like, are you kidding me? She's literally on TV. And I'm like, you're saying my line. Like I have the imposter syndrome, not you, but then you realize that everybody has it, whether you're just applying for a job or not. And really it's who you know, not how you like what you know. And like, it's how you can execute. And I think in this day and age where we are dealing with AI, which is fantastic as a tool, but not as a human being, when you're applying for a job or you want to run your business, the thing that makes it so successful is the humanity of it. And women in particular bring a very, very strong edge above their competition of male counterparts of having more humanity, more emotion, more intellectual and emotional ability that men they can't compete with. Sorry, guys.
I know.
I mean, it's a skill set.
Yeah. Yeah.
They might be able to like power clean more and run away from a tiger faster, but women can navigate a boardroom better. And like, it's been, like in the right environment.
Well, we'll figure out how to get the whole tribe up the tree away from the tiger instead of just running away from it.
Exactly. Exactly. And you probably read a book or a podcast on how to deal with tigers, right? Like, whereas like you weren't just watching football, you were like, well, I read this article and I heard that tigers, but literally like we have this different like approach that makes us unique. And rather than shying away from the feminine power and like being like, oh, I can't do that because like embracing the feminine aspect and then also embracing the masculine aspect of being a female too. So if you're like the masculine drive to run a business and go, it's like, they call it in your masculine or whatever. But the thing that makes it more powerful is having in the feminine and really leaning into it and being like, I do negotiate really well. And I am a great salesperson and like a lot of that comes from like communication.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with me. And it was fun. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks. Bye, Vicki.